This practice focuses on a deep interior muscle that's so important for pelvic stability, and it's the muscle that's so important in its connection to the spine and to the legs. I refer to several props such as blocks and straps and tennis balls. You can certainly do the practice without them, but if you've got them around, please grab them. So let's begin. So as you come to a seated pose, I'm elevating myself in this seated pose because it just allows me to just come a little bit more forward on my sit bones. And if you're in a chair, that's fine too. Just close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just kind of do a circle from the sit bones all the way up to the crown of the head, just to allow yourself to just feel the edges of those sit bones by just moving yourself in a clockwise direction in your upper body, just kind of circulating that way. And now let's go the opposite direction. So just kind of go counterclockwise. So you're just trying to feel all the surfaces there of the sit bone. And maybe you feel, since we're doing this pelvic work and pelvic stability is our focus, maybe you feel like when you lean to one side, it feels like you can kind of get more of a firm foundation on that side than the other side. And that alone is very telling. That will kind of give you an idea of like what side might be slightly lower just than the other. Just so you've gone clockwise and then counterclockwise with the upper body. Now find some place that feels like the very center of those movements. Sit slightly forward of that center position just to exaggerate the lumbar curve. Come to a standing position. So as you come to a standing position, the two blocks that we'll be using, again, we'll be standing on them. So take them on the floor. As you come to a standing position, stand with your left foot on the block. So you elevate that. Lift up your right leg. And so now that your hip points are pretty much out of balance when your right foot is on the floor. So see if you can just kind of lift it up. Keep your right foot on the floor for now and just lift up your hip so that you just kind of get that feeling for yourself like what is a more natural pose here where the hip points are aligned nicely. So you just kind of lift it up and down and see about just kind of swinging the foot a little bit. You can still have the foot on the floor, but swing the foot with a feeling like your hips are just a little bit more parallel. And by all means, hold on to a chair, hold on to the wall, just because this standing leg will tire pretty quickly. And you just need to make sure that you just kind of take your attention to the hip area that we're working on today, and not so much concerned about your balance. So see about making circles with that free leg as you hang on to something, or if you can balance yourself fine, that's great. Make your circles in the opposite direction now. And again, if you tap down on the floor, that's fine too. But see if you can keep that pelvic alignment. And now step off your block and just pause here for a moment. Just notice how fired up the left leg feels compared to the right. Let's come to the opposite side. So as you step your right foot on the block, the left leg just kind of hangs. And again, first you have this very out of alignment pelvic area. So see what you can do to lift the pelvis on the left side up to balance things out and just kind of tap down and just find that pelvic alignment. So this is a really great practice to do several times. And also to if you have a mirror when you're practicing on your own, so you can look at the mirror to see what is the alignment. Probably you've already figured that out standing there without the mirror, but mirrors help for things like this. Normally in yoga classes, I don't like using the mirror because we get a little bit too caught up in looking at ourselves rather than feeling what's going on. Now take the foot and just kind of do circles and keep that standing leg really strong. We're just trying to get a little freedom and, more importantly, a little bit of knowledge on what's going on that side of the hip. How do you feel on that side? Go in counterclockwise direction here as the leg hangs. And one of the reasons you elevate one leg and let the other hang is that psoas muscle has a little bit of time to just kind of release if it's quite tight. Sometimes our psoas muscle is really stretched out, but it's not very strong. So for those of us that sit too much, or if you are a big walker or runner, this practice is really a good one for you. Well, that pretty much covers everyone, doesn't it? Sitting, standing, walking. Let's now come down to sit on the mat. And another thing we'll be using is a strap, or I've got a tennis ball here. If you've got a tennis ball around, grab it. If not, just roll your strap up and we'll be using it like a tennis ball. So it'll be fine. Take the strap and put it under your right hip. Now, this is just below the hip point there, just slightly behind it. So you're on the top part of your gluteus. As you lie on your side here, you'll be putting that strap just in that fleshy area behind. So the iliac crest is just forward of the strap. And there's no exactly right location. You just have to find what would work for you to kind of release the muscle here. So I have got the bottom leg straight, and the top leg is behind me, or it can be in front of you. And I'm just supporting myself with the right arm so I can take a little bit of pressure. And by the way, this does not feel so great, but we're just working to find a spot that you can just settle into for a moment or two, a few moments, I should say. And as you settle in, just let your weight go there. If you find, oh my gosh, this is way too painful, then move to another spot. We're just trying to do this myofascial release, just to allow the pressure to just kind of help you release the connective tissue and therefore free your muscle a little bit more. The bottom leg, the straight leg, see if you can lift it off the floor and take it down. And you'll really feel the muscle against your tennis ball or your rolled strap. Just see if you can lift it up just slightly and down. Lift the straight leg up and down, and lift the straight leg up and down, and lift the straight leg up and down. Let's come to the opposite side now. So you take your rolled strap or your tennis ball. One of my friends that works with these tennis balls quite a bit, or balls in myofascial release, says that she really thinks these tennis balls are a little bit too hard. for this works. Another option is that you could you could roll up a washcloth. See how this goes on the opposite side, and you'll definitely notice a difference. Pelvic point, you can go slightly back of that and onto the gluteus and lie on your side with your left forearm down. And as you press that area right into the strap, just take a few moments to find the area that works for you. And once you find it, rather than fidgeting around, just see if you can just stay, keep the pressure in that one area. And this is why this is a really great practice to repeat, because if you could start working on different areas for a little bit more hip stability, that of course would free the hip area a little bit more. The bottom leg is straight, the top leg is bent and either behind you or in front of you. And you're just allowing your breath to help give you a little bit of freedom. And again, it may not feel that great, but the more you just kind of get your awareness to that area, the more your breath will flow a little bit more fully there. And with the bottom leg straight, you can just lift up the leg and tap it down. Very easeful action here, just a up and down. Very easeful. You're just kind of bringing your awareness to the straight leg action, up and down, just very easeful. Maybe you're feeling your inner thigh, helping the action out as you do the work. And if the leg doesn't want to lift off the floor, no worries. But as if you're trying to lift the leg off the floor, just to engage those muscles. And in your own time, you can release out of that pose and just take your strap to the side for now. And as you come to all fours position on your mat, grab your blocks again. Take your blocks in their tallest position. And with your blocks in this very tall position, step your right foot right between the tall blocks. And this the back knee is going to take a little bit of weight here. So if your back knee needs some padding, by all means, because we're going to be here just a little bit here. So give your back knee a little padding if you need it. With your hands to the tall blocks, walk the blocks back so that you can stand or you can get a nice lift in this lunge pose. And as you keep this nice openness of the heart, just to allow yourself to drop in a little bit more. So you're working the back leg, you're working the front leg, and how are you working that? You're pressing down to the right foot very firmly, and as if you could drag your right foot to the pelvis. That's what you're doing with the right foot. And now with the left foot, you're pressing down as well, drilling down, but pulling in toward the front of the mat. So the right foot is pulling toward the back of the mat, the left foot is pulling toward the front of the mat. Now, we've been here for a little bit, so tuck your back toes under as a way to just get the weight off your back knee for a moment. Take your hands to right above your knee and see if you can balance a little bit. And with that, come to this high lunge and let your arms just release to the side and just kind of bob just a little bit, like you're able to just kind of move, draw down just slightly, as if you're trying to reach your hands toward the floor. Just kind of little movement, little pulsing action here. Take your hands back to the tall blocks now. Take your back knee down and switch sides. So as you do, you take your left foot right between your blocks and you pause there for a moment. And in the same action, as you press down through the left foot, you drill down with the left heel. Now pull in. Do the same thing with the right toes. Drill down first, pull in the opposite direction. So you've got this strong action of the legs. That strong action of the legs allows your pelvis to open nicely, allows for a nice lengthening from the pelvis to the crown of the head. If you'd like to free your arms and come to the high lunge, you're welcome to. But we're mostly just working on allowing the hip area to open just a little bit more. Tuck your back toes under. Lift your back knee up so that you're in this high lunge. Take your hands to right above the knee. Just pause there. See if you can get a nice elongation from the pelvis to the crown of the head. Now just let your arms be free. Just let them hang and just pulse a little bit. Just kind of like a little bit of action to just kind of create a little bit more stability in the hip flexor muscles. And release your hands to the blocks. Come back to all fours position as a way to transition and make your way to standing. I like to do that through downward facing dog, but if that doesn't work for you, please find a way that you can easily come back to standing position. And when you get back to standing position, we'll be using the blocks again. And we'll be standing on those blocks to just get some elevation of the pelvic area to allow that freedom. We'll be allowing freedom in the standing or in the lifted leg here. So the standing leg is your left leg, and the freedom is on the right side, right? You just allow this to just draw down. See about lifting the knee up toward you and reaching your foot back. Now, there can be a slight bend to your standing leg. Do that again. Lift your right knee up. Exhale and reach back. Again, slight bend to the knee is just fine. Inhale, reach the knee up. Exhale, reach back. And last time, inhale and exhale, reach back. All right, settle yourself back to the mat. Now, that doesn't work on your blocks. No worries. You can do it off the blocks. You can do that same thing off the block. But I just kind of like the freedom that that little elevation gives for your psoas muscle. Just allows you to both lengthen it and strengthen it in the action. Let's come to the opposite side now. So as you stand on the blocks with your right foot, it'll be the left leg that has that freedom. And you want to parallel, I forgot to mention that last time. Of course, you want to bring the hip points to parallel. First, of course, the left foot is kind of dragging, so your hips are really uneven. So let's bring them to that even point before drawing the knee up, reaching back. And again, the standing leg can be slightly bent as you do these actions. You draw the knee up and you reach back. Hold on to something if this is feeling a little bit too dangerous, a little too risky. Inhale, lift up and reach back. And slowly come back to feeling like everything is balanced out. So as you pause here in Tadasana, close your eyes and come to your breath. Have a nice, easy in breath and out breath. Nice softness to your facial muscles. We've been taking so much focus to this pelvic area. Just notice what differences you might feel in this area that we've been working on. We'll be coming to lie down now. So as you bend your knees and lie on your back, lift your pelvis up so you're on that lowest level of the block and place your sacrum right on the block. Let your low back be free here. Just pause here. So this area that's supporting you, this kind of reminds you, take your hands right at the hip points to see if that feels very level to you. And just with that tactile impression of the sacrum on this low block, it does remind you about that stability that we're looking for in the pelvis. Does one side feels like it's making more of an imprint than the other side on the block? Just see now, as you just pause and you're doing this kind of back bend action where the heads of the arm bones are drawing back, your sacrum is fully supported. Draw your right knee now toward you and see if you can hold on to the right knee. Now, if the right knee just feels too far away for you, then you've got a strap. So use that and just hold on to the right shin with your strap. Or interlace your fingers in front of the right shin. Now lift your left leg up toward the sky. Your sacrum is still very supported and lifted there. And slowly just take your lifted leg down about 20 degrees. Just kind of check things out there. And take it down a little bit more toward parallel to the floor. Keep a nice steadiness there, a nice engagement. And inhale, lift your leg up again. Just pause there. Now, if you felt like you were starting to kind of clench the gluteus muscles when you took the leg down, uh, see if you can just kind of keep the leg a little bit higher. We'll try to do that same action where we go down a little bit and a little bit more. And some of you can take your foot down so that the shin is almost parallel to the mat. And here's where you'll start to feel a nice stretch of the psoas muscle here that connects right at the inner groin area. Breathe into it. Now, if you're feeling too much, too much kind of grabbing on of the inner groin area, then you need to lift your leg up. And slowly release your foot down to the mat and just pause here with the sacrum fully supported. Just pause. Again, if this block is too high for you, please lower yourself down. Just find some stability. Now, draw your left thigh in, and again, either take your hand around your interlaced fingers at your shin or take a strap there. Just pull that in as you keep the right foot stable on the floor. Pause there. And in your own time, make your way by reaching the right foot up to the sky. Pause there. And I failed to mention that the right foot is very active. The left foot is very active. In other words, it's you can tell that it's active because your toes are working to spread themselves to get nice tone in the muscles of the leg. Now just take your leg down slightly and pause. And take your leg down slightly and pause. And take your leg down a little bit more. Pause there. Or, if that's not working for you, lift the leg up so you don't feel like you're like overstretching this area. And take the leg all the way up and release both feet to the floor. And just pause here. And again, if this is not comfortable right now, you've been elevated too long, just take your pelvis down, even to the floor. It'll be fine. Pause here and enjoy your breath. Now switch sides again. So pull the right leg in, lift the left leg up. Slowly, just draw it down to what feels right for you. Just slowly draw it down and inhale, lift it up. Just do that a few cycles here. Have your toes active. Draw down and lift up and draw down and lift up and draw down and lift up and release your feet, both feet to the floor. Pause there. Draw the left thigh in. Take your right leg up. Just go easy here in your actions. Just draw up and down. And it's fine for you, a nice ease and steadiness in your actions. It's just a great thing to do. Sometimes when you're feeling that tightness first thing in the morning, just to lie in bed and to do these things, just to open up your pelvis so that you find that stability before you're walking around. And slowly, again, bend both knees, place both feet on the floor, lift your pelvis up away from the block. Keep your pelvis lifted up off the block for now. Now, slowly take your pelvis down and pause. And when you take your pelvis down, hopefully it feels like there's a little bit of airspace between your low back and your mat. You've got a nice lumbar curve. Take your feet nice and wide apart, as wide as the mat is, and let your inner knees come in to touch each other. You just pause here. This is a nice way to relax your iliopsoas muscle. Now come to a nice long in breath and out breath. Take your arms in this nice open wingspan here with your palms facing up, arms on the floor. Now take your knees away from each other, but keep your feet really wide apart, as wide as the mat is. Draw your knees over toward your right side. And when you do, you'll just kind of notice how there's a little bit more pressure on one side of the gluteus than the other. Just dive into it. Allow this movement in the twist to feel like you're giving your gluteus on that side just a nice massaging action. You don't want to go too far in the twisting action. Inhale, lift your knees up to come out of the pose. Pause and let the inner knees just collapse in toward each other again. Just notice the difference after twisting on one side. Just check in to kind of describe to yourself what am I feeling on that side? How does that side feel different than the other side? And then after doing both sides, you start to have this recognition of what side in your own practice you should spend a little bit more time in. Because most classes, we try to even out the sides. But in your own practice, you should do another turn on that side that you felt, oh, this could use a little bit more time. Let's go to take the knees over to the opposite side and just pause there. Let your breath help to gain more length. So you take more weight to the opposite sit bones, or sorry, not sit bones, but your opposite set of gluteus muscles there. Just kind of notice, maybe you can shift the pressure point just slightly, similar to what we were doing when we were lying on our side. Find a nice fullness in your breath, as if the knee on the lifted side is drawing from the pelvis. You're getting more length from the pelvis to that knee. And then again, on the lifted side, all the way from the armpit to the pelvis, you bring your breath there to just exaggerate that length even more. On your next inhale breath, lift your knees up and just collapse the knees in toward each other again. Readjust your arms so they're equal distance from your body still, but now just take them down a little bit toward the pelvic area with the palms facing up. Extend your right leg straight and your left leg straight to come to Shavasana. Just like the arms are equal distance from the midline, so are your legs. Allow your legs to feel very heavy, your arms to feel heavy. And before you absolutely settle in, maybe you just want to kind of rock side to side in the pelvic area and find what feels in that pelvic area like center position for you, like the middle point. Once you find it, you don't want to fidget around anymore. You just find the stillness. Find ease. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Bend both knees to plant your feet. Breathe in deep and take your arms up over your head and just invite your breath to be full. Soften your facial muscles with your arms up over your head. Allow your breath to expand through the right side and the left side ribs. Draw over to your side and rest there. Just pause there. And slowly lift yourself up to come to a seated pose. Press down through the pelvic area. With great gratitude to those teachings, we bow. Namaste. Thank you so much for the practice.